Sports fans, gather ye round. It is time for another exciting Sunday edition of Jake's Hot Takes. My name is Jake McVey, and I am joined here with my host, Matthew Galgano. Matt, if there were no sports in the world ever, what would we be talking about on the radio instead?
I don't know. Probably about the political and economic state of the world, if I had to guess.
Oh, that is the last thing that I would like to be talking about. But anyway, let's move right on. The Knicks had themselves a night against the 76ers. It was a pretty good game, I think. I liked a lot of what I saw. Granted, the 76ers team is very quickly falling into the bottom feeder territory if they're not there already. But I still think that overall it was a good showing out of the Knicks. What did you see?
I do, but at the same time, I also feel like Brunson bailed them out a bit. They almost lost their lead at the end, and I was just waiting for Maxey to send it into overtime. But at the end of the day, they got it done, and this is the type of win you want to see. Exactly. A hard win from this team that has struggled the past couple games, but it's a good bounce-back win. But I really think Brunson ended up bailing them out a little bit here. I still have questions about Thibodeau coming out of this game.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why you have a guy like Brunson. You know, Brunson, it is his role on the team to be able to execute in those big moments. Yep. So I wouldn't chalk up Brunson's bailout as a team failure. If you want to chalk it up as partially a coaching failure, I could see that. But I think everyone about performed as good as they possibly could have. We had a lot of really heavy-hitting performers. Jalen Brunson, of course, saving the game for us. He dropped 34, 3 and 7. Pretty good night out of him. Mikal Bridges had an absolutely absurd 19 points in the first quarter of this game. He got off to a hot start. And that's the kind of thing that can really put an opposing team in a hole. I mean, if Mikal Bridges is going to he ended up finishing out the game with 28 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. But he also had 2 steals and a block. Mm-hmm. So Mikal was definitely very important on the defensive side of a big defensive showing, which is what I know we were both hoping to see out of him, as well as a big performance in the scoring department. So I'm pretty happy with Mikal. Mikal has fallen back into my good graces.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm still pretty hot and cold on him. But honestly, I think the biggest takeaway is, man, Tyrese Maxey played out of his mind in this game. And as I said earlier, I was just waiting for him to send it to overtime.
Yeah, he had himself a game. 30 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. 0 for 10 from 3, though.
Yeah,
wow.
I guess that's true.
Wow.
But still, he played very well. A bit of a promising performance for the Sixers there in a loss. And I know it's pretty hard to criticize the Knicks for a win, but I would just like to see the leads a bit farther in this game, especially against a bad team like the Sixers.
Yeah.
But you know what? Take what we can get at this point in the season. They've been on a bit of a skid, so it's a good get-back game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would be feeling pretty awful as a Knicks fan if we had ended up losing this game. I could not imagine the pit in my stomach. So at this point, we've avoided the horrible bottom feeder loss. You know, as long as our losses are only to like the best teams in the NBA, I think I'm still pretty hopeful on our shots at making a deep playoff run for this year. There were a few standout players on the bench. Precious Achiuwa had himself a monster game defensively with 4 blocks. Not much outside of that. He had himself 6 rebounds, 7 points, and 2 assists. Pretty good. Precious is doing what he needs to do out there, especially in the absence of Mitchell Robinson. But this team actually just took another massive hit to the roster. Well, I say a massive hit. It's not a massive hit, but it's definitely something you never want to see. Center Ariel Hukporti has torn his meniscus and will miss the next 4 to 6 weeks of play. This coming as of recording this, Mitchell Robinson is still yet to return to the court, although he is slated. He is listed as questionable to return tonight against the Grizzlies. I say tonight. We're recording this on Friday, so we don't know if by the time this episode airs, we will not know if Mitchell Robinson is back or not.
And we will talk about it.
And we will talk about it.
For the next show.
But, so if you're wondering why didn't they talk about Mitchell Robinson, we don't know. We don't know yet. But Matt, what is something that you think the Knicks need to be concerned about with this Huck-Porty injury? Do you foresee it having a lot of impact on the team in general?
Honestly, no. It all depends if Mitchell Robinson comes back. And right now, it's looking like if he doesn't come back next game against the Grizzlies, it's looking like his return is nearing, and they need him pretty desperately. But other than center play, I think a big issue was that the Knicks only made 7 of 19 3-point shots in this game, which isn't exactly terrible, but it's not what you want to see against a bad team like the Sixers.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's never a situation that you really want to find yourself in. And I think you are right to be frustrated at Tom Thibodeau for this game. I think there were a lot of moments where, Maxey was just going at the basket every single time the ball was in his hands, and it did seem like there wasn't a lot that this team could do to stop him. Maxey was kind of a black hole throughout this game, as previously stated. He shot 0 for 10 from 3. Could you imagine if Tyrese Maxey made even 2 of those 3-point shots?
Yeah.
20% 3-point shooter, and we would have lost this game.
The thing is about the Knicks is that I really just want to see them beat a good team and stop struggling to put away bad ones is really what it is.
Exactly, yeah. It's like we know we can beat these teams, but we're still struggling massively.
Yeah.
And struggling massively against bad teams like that is just not like you look at the end of the first quarter, we were up by 12 points. And then it's like all of a sudden the production stops, and Philadelphia, you can see it through each quarter. They slowly work their way back up to closing that gap down into the situation that we ended the game with. It's just we need to be able to close out teams, and Mikal Bridges got us off to a great start, but we weren't able to put our foot on the gas and really keep the engine running and put this Philadelphia team out of the game.
Yep.
But that's okay. We're going to pivot real quick and talk about the Knicks' next upcoming game, again, after this episode airs, against the Miami Heat.
Yes.
The Miami Heat are going through a bit of a lull right now, what with losing their number one guy, Mr. Jimmy Butler.
Even though they've been without him for some time.
I'm saying this lull has lasted a decent amount of time for the Heat. They just don't look. You could tell that the drama kind of shook things up a little bit in terms of team chemistry. They don't necessarily look like they're all on the same page. And, they just took a bad loss they just had a good win against the Hawks the other night. I misread that. The Heat are coming off a 20-something point victory over the Hawks. But, again, it's not like the Hawks are one of the better teams in the East. So I don't know about you. I'm not particularly worried. Matt, is there anything that you think that we should be on the lookout for?
So I really think that the Knicks need to be on the lookout for Bam Adebayo and try to contain him in this game, because the thing is that the Knicks still are pretty weak on the interior of the court, and they need to protect his ability to score and get twos for the Heat.
I completely agree, especially if Mitchell Robinson isn't going to be playing. That's something that Precious Ochiwa and Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby are going to have to work out with Thibodeau, because you're right, Bam is a big guy, and you can't let him just occupy the middle of the court, and especially right under the rim. You can't let him get there, because you can't let him get there offensively, and you can't let him get there defensively either. You need to be able to drag Bam out of position. Otherwise, he's just going to be knocking down anything you try to put up in that range. Something that I think we should be looking out for is Tyler Herro.
Yep,
We've talked
I was
about
just going to say
how our lack of defense. Obviously, he's their best player. You always need to worry out for him. But guys specifically like Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson, you can't let them sit on the perimeter, get to the corner, get to the wings, and just shoot threes all night. We see what happens when they allow teams to just shoot threes whenever they want. We see what happens whenever they play Boston. Boston puts up freaking 50 3-point shot attempts, and all they got to do is make 40% of them to win the game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Heat will be perfectly content to do the exact same thing. We know the way that Herro plays. He's a great 3-point shooter. We know the way that Duncan Robinson plays. He is exclusively a 3-point shooter. So those are two guys that we're definitely going to need to be able to keep on lock. My personal pick for a top performer against the Heat, I'm going to say OG Anunoby. I think that
we definitely need him to step up.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a great bounce back game for him. He did not have a great performance again. Actually, you know what? I'm going to correct myself because he did actually have a pretty good performance against the 76ers. 16 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Pretty good. Pretty good. But I think he's due for a really big bounce forward. And I am super excited to see where he's coming from. Matt, is there anyone that you are anticipating having a big blow-up game?
I mean, we need Brunson to step up again because what really I would like to see from this Heat team is not very good post Jimmy Butler's trade, just in terms of their talent. And we, like what we were talking about earlier, is that it seems like the Knicks get blown out by good teams and then slightly tend to edge out the bad teams. So we need to see a convincing win from the Heat here, and that means we need Brunson to step up. We need the perimeter defense to be good. Duncan Robinson had a pretty massive game for Duncan Robinson standards against the Hawks. He had 24 points and 6 assists. So we just need to keep the scoring on an uptick to keep up with Bam's production in the center of the court. And I think Brunson is the best way to go about that.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think that one last thing that I will say for the Knicks that I think is actually going to be really important is I think Tom Thibodeau needs to know when enough is enough. You know, I think if we get out to a really hot lead against this Heat team, no pun intended. If we start heating up real quick against this Heat team, no pun intended. I would love to see some of the bench guys getting involved. I'd love to see Cameron Payne get some more minutes. I would love to see Miles McBride get more minutes. I mean, they both played over 10 minutes against the 76ers, and they didn't necessarily have great production for their time, but they did some. They got some done. I'll say Cameron Payne had himself a decent little game. Miles McBride a little more decent, but I would just love to see the bench getting involved with this game more. Any other comments, Matt?
I don't know. I just want to see Brunson have a better game than he had last time against the Heat. He had 22 points, and I just don't think that the Knicks team will be able to perform well without him stepping up even further than that. So I would just love to see Brunson have a big game against the Heat. Yeah,
I completely agree. And when we get back, we are going to be discussing the future of the Philadelphia 76ers. I know, what is this, a Sixers podcast? No. We're talking about Joel Embiid's injury and how that impacts the 76ers going forward. And then I'm finally proving to Matt that Jalen Brunson is a top 3-point guard in the league because he still doesn't believe me and he doesn't have faith in our boys. So when we get back, we're going to be talking about that. Make sure you stick around. Jake's Hot Takes, WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. Be right back.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to wayneswaycabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
Herring Septic wants your crap. Herring Septic loves taking crap from everybody. Herring Septic, they really don't give a crap what other septic companies say because they know they're full of crap. Herring Septic has been taking crap from everybody for the past 50 years. So why not let them take your crap? We'll take your crap. Herring Septic does it all, from residential, commercial, pumping, installing, and they even rent porta potties for those of you who give a crap. Visit herringseptic.com. That's herringseptic.com if you give a crap.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to romadeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, we've been talking about suds left over in the wash. What else should we know?
Soap companies do a great job of taking a wild guess at it, and they do a better job at marketing their product to make money. That's what they're doing. They'll tell you that liquids are better than powders. Liquids are much cheaper for them to produce and ship because they can ship it concentrated, cut it with water at the final mile before they deliver it to the store. And it almost guarantees that you're going to over soap. Most people don't realize this. It's real simple. Clean doesn't smell. If you put detergent in your washing machine and you wash your clothes, and when you're done and you pull them out of your washer, and you take a handful of that clothing and put it up to your nose and take a sniff, if it smells boutique fresh or whatever lavender scent that they put in the detergent, it's because there's still detergent in your clothing.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
All right, everybody. All right. Settle down. Settle down. Jake's Hot Takes is back. No need to get out your torches and pitchforks. It was only a commercial break. Anyway, Matt, during the break, we spoke for a little bit about Joel Embiid.
Yes.
And the current situation that he finds himself in. For those who don't know, Joel Embiid was just ruled out for the remainder of the 2024-2025 season. Do you happen to know what the injury was off the dome?
It was a knee injury.
I forgot. Oh, it's a knee injury.
Knee injury, and it's just, this is the end of the process for Philadelphia, it seems, I would say. I think at this point, it only makes sense to trade Embiid, get whatever value you can out of him, and just tank and full send this rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, the moves that the 76ers have made, in especially the previous offseason, are all of a sudden looking terrible. Paul George is out here talking about how he's going to stop doing his podcast for the rest of the season to try and focus on winning. Dude, your team is terrible. What are we talking about here? Mm-hmm. I mean, what is the 76ers record look like right now? They're 20-38, and Paul George is on Twitter talking about, oh, my podcast, I need to stop focusing on my podcast so I can focus on playing basketball. Maybe if you had focused on playing basketball before, your team wouldn't be, 18 points below 500 or 18 games below 500.
I think I just can't help be disappointed because, while I think it should be the end of Embiid's time in Philly, it's definitely a disappointment because really, this generation of players should have been defined, or really was defined by Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid, and them competing for titles.
Yeah.
And obviously, Jokic and Giannis both won a title, and Embiid just could never get there because of health.
Yeah.
It's really a disappointing thing.
Yeah, Embiid was massively influential in the creation of the skilled big man archetype that a lot of people talk about now. Obviously, they both kind of came up around the same time, but Embiid and Jokic, Embiid and Giannis, Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns, those are all guys that have kind of maybe not taken inspiration from Embiid's game, but implemented pieces that Embiid has been able to demonstrate on the court into their own game. Because, it's not necessarily like Embiid was influencing these guys in the same way that older players influence younger players. They all kind of developed these skills alongside each other. And Embiid, who had some phenomenal talent when it came to scoring, definitely, I think when it comes to just pure getting buckets, he's the best out of the four guys that I just mentioned: Karl Anthony Towns, Giannis, and Jokic.
Well, the thing about Embiid is that he is probably a top 25 talent all time in terms of pure talent, but it's such unmatched potential right now because of his injury history.
Yeah,
and he's only made a conference finals once is the real issue there.
Yeah, even just from the pure talent standpoint. Top 25 all time. That's a steep list, man. We got a lot of guys.
But his peak talent is just so good and so skilled, and his physical frame is really unmatched.
I just don't think we necessarily saw enough to waver him that high. Because, even though he did have a lot of promise just through his game, I think a lot of other guys have shown a lot more over a much longer span of time, and those guys need to be included in that conversation of like top 25 talent all time. But anyway, that's besides the point. Matt, where do you think Philadelphia is going to go from here, and where do you think they should go from here?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the process is over. Trade Embiid for as much as you can get and just tank and full send a rebuild. I largely think that signing Paul George was a failure. Even though he's played okay for them, he hasn't been largely available for them. And it just seems like this process is over and they need to tank and get a good draft pick for this upcoming draft.
Absolutely. I don't think anybody on this roster should be safe except for Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. I would say Maxey should be the star of the future. I think throughout this season, and especially with Embiid's, on and off court problems and Paul George's on-court problems, I'll say, because he had a very hot stretch of games where he just did not perform whatsoever. Tyrese Maxey has continued to be a consistent scoring option and leader for this young team. Jared McCain, same thing. He was my Rookie of the Year pick until he got hurt. I think that he is inarguably needs to stay on the roster no matter what. He's young. He's fun. Everybody loves him. He needs to stay in Philadelphia. He's the kind of guy that can really put butts in seats.
Now, a question I want to ask is, do you think that it's a possibility that the Philadelphia fan base messed with Embiid's head a bit and got him out on the court a bit more than he should have been? Or do you think there's any outside factors besides his health that contributed to it?
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of the time you can chart a player's behavior into the way that they have been received by a fan base. I'm certain that as a former MVP and, leader of this team and, people are putting him in these potentially top 25 all-time talent-wise discussions, I'm sure Embiid wanted to be on the court, and I'm sure the fans wanted him to be on the court. But no, it would not surprise me if we found out that Embiid did rush some things to keep himself relevant in the minds of NBA fans. Because I don't know about you, this was pretty much the last year that I was spending thinking of wasting my mind energy on Joel Embiid. I'm pretty much done. I'm pretty much content to walk away and say he's not going to do anything significant again, pretty much for the rest of his career in the NBA.
Think there's a chance he retires?
Yeah, I do, actually. I think, he's not an old guy. He's only 30 years old, but at his size and with his injury history, it wouldn't surprise me if Embiid just decided to call it a career, which would be unfortunate because, like I said, he's an incredible talent, and you never like to see a guy go out sad like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about Jalen Brunson because I have a bone to pick with you. We were watching the Knicks game, and I said out loud, man, Jalen Brunson, how could you not think that he is a top 3 point guard in the NBA right now? And you told me that you don't think he is.
I really just don't think so at this point, and I think it sounds crazy to say because I am a Knicks fan, but I just feel like pure talent, there's a lot better point guards in the league playing right now that have a much higher ceiling than Brunson has.
And who might those point guards be?
I think Shea,
okay,
Luka,
okay,
and Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Yes, it's Steph Curry, dude.
Steph Curry right now.
Did you not see the game he had the other night?
I did, but one game does not a career define.
Listen, Steph Curry is unmatched in terms of February production. Against the Magic, he had 56 points, 60 for 25 from the field, and he hit 12 threes in this game. 56 points. He's crazy.
Win?
Yes.
Dang it.
Yes.
I was hoping they could lose. So
no, they won 121 to 115.
Ugh. Anyway.
Yes.
No. Look, I'm willing to give you Luka and Shea. Because I think those guys are pretty much inarguably, they are I think there's an argument for them being the first and second best players in the NBA. I personally would put Jokic in that conversation. I'd say they're probably
Jokic
the second,
is the best.
and I'd say they're probably the second and third best players in the NBA. But Steph Curry, man, you're talking about an old man right now. We need some young blood.
He's still fantastic. He's still fantastic.
I'm not willing to look. I respect the legacy, but we're talking top 3 right now. And one 56-point performance, one incredible shooting performance out of Steph Curry is not enough for me as a fan to say, yeah, I would want Steph Curry on my team right now over Jalen Brunson. But I wouldn't.
The thing is, I would take Steph's veteran presence on my team because you know him. No. He's one of the most successful players in NBA history in terms of his resume. And he's been in so many playoff situations before. And we've really yet to see some serious success from Brunson in the playoffs.
Yeah, but aside from the way that Brunson slots into this offense, because I think Brunson really is the perfect fit for this offense, the way that he can facilitate and get the ball moving. Plus, I don't think Steph Curry would be able to survive being coached by Tom Thibodeau. That dude's knees and ankles would probably be feeling pretty rough after a couple weeks of playing under Tibbs. But even beyond that, just off of pure production, I mean, Brunson is the leading scorer on a team with a lot of guys who do a lot of scoring. You know, Curry is obviously the leading scorer for Golden State, but he's doing it on a team full of guys who are not renowned for their scoring right now. I mean, the second best player on that Golden State
is
team
Jimmy Butler.
Probably Jimmy Butler. Yeah, I guess Jimmy Butler. I would have said Draymond still. I know he has a lot of issues. I think Draymond is the second best player on that team. What he brings defensively, just because he's not putting up a lot of buckets and he's getting in a lot of fights still, doesn't mean that he's not one of the best players on that team. But anyway, Jalen Brunson is leading a team that is full of scorers in scoring. And not only is he doing that, he's also averaging 7 assists on the season, 7.5 assists on the season. So not only is he scoring a lot and he's shooting at a great percentage, he's shooting 50% from the field, almost 40% from 3. He's also facilitating the ball and getting the offense moving, which Curry does. I just don't think as well as Brunson.
The thing is that Curry doesn't have a guy like Karl Anthony Towns on his team to facilitate the ball through.
Yeah, I guess that's fair enough, but I don't know. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm honestly ashamed of you for. I'm ashamed of you for
I'm not saying that Brunson doesn't have the potential to get to that conversation.
So if JB's not top 3 right now, then where is he?
I would say he's 4.
Okay.
4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would you put? Okay. We need to go to commercial soon, but who on earth else do you have above Jalen Brunson to put him maybe top 5? Who's maybe above him?
I got LaMelo Ball.
Oh my
from
gosh.
Charlotte.
No. Okay. No. We're going to commercial break. I'm not even hearing this conversation. LaMelo Ball.
We'll talk about it another day.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when LaMelo does anything in the postseason. Anything.
If we get 5 people to comment on the Instagram, talk about LaMelo Ball over Brunson, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about LaMelo versus Brunson. Jake's Hot Takes, WGNY on Instagram. We're going to commercial break right now, but Jake's Hot Takes, WGNY on Instagram. Make sure you follow it. We're posting episode updates and stuff like that. We're going to go to commercial break. I panicked and spoke way too quickly. I got like 20 seconds before we got to go. Goodbye, everybody. Come back for commercial break. We're going to be talking a little bit of football, so stay tuned for that, folks. Jake's Hot Takes. Bye.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all-wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to wayneswaycabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
Herring Septic wants your crap. Herring Septic loves taking crap from everybody. Herring Septic, they really don't give a crap what other septic companies say because they know they're full of crap. Herring Septic has been taking crap from everybody for the past 50 years. So why not let them take your crap? We'll take your crap. Herring Septic does it all, from residential, commercial, pumping, installing, and they even rent porta potties for those of you who give a crap. Visit herringseptic.com. That's herringseptic.com if you give a crap.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to romadeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, we've been talking about suds left over in the wash. What else should we know?
Soap companies do a great job of taking a wild guess at it, and they do a better job at marketing their product to make money. That's what they're doing. They'll tell you that liquids are better than powders. Liquids are much cheaper for them to produce and ship because they can ship it concentrated, cut it with water at the final mile before they deliver it to the store. And it almost guarantees that you're going to over soap. Most people don't realize this. It's real simple. Clean doesn't smell. If you put detergent in your washing machine and you wash your clothes, and when you're done and you pull them out of your washer, and you take a handful of that clothing and put it up to your nose and take a sniff, if it smells boutique fresh or whatever lavender scent that they put in the detergent, it's because there's still detergent in your clothing.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
All right, we got through talking about the Knicks. We got through talking about basketball. Had a great time doing it, but now we're going to pivot back to my first love for a little bit. We're going to talk some football. Matt, have you seen the technological upgrades that the NFL is about to implement into the league?
Yes, I have. They are not planning on removing the chain game, but they're kind of they're letting them be the backup to a technological placement of the ball, which should have some Buffalo fans cheering for their lives right now.
Yeah, the NFL will just change the rules every time Josh Allen wants to
Yeah,
whine.
exactly right.
Man.
But that aside, I don't like this change. I really don't. I think
you don't like it?
No, I really don't like this change. I think the NFL has to have some human element to it with human error, and that's what makes the game what it is. Because at the end of the day, the only element of the game you're going to have with human error is like PI calls, and that's just not fun. You know?
So you're willing to potentially create a situation where the refs get the call wrong if it means preserving the humanity of the sport?
I do. I 100% agree with that.
That's interesting. That's a prerogative I've never heard because, honestly, I'm pretty much all for this change. I think that sports like tennis and volleyball have been using this kind of technology forever, and I think that baseball has been looking into it, too, with the robot umpires. I don't know necessarily how close they are to making that a reality, but it's definitely something they're working with.
Yeah.
I just see it as football finally catching up with the times, you know?
I just don't like it. I don't like the extent that they do the replay assists. I feel like it just takes a lot away from the viewing experience, in my opinion.
That's the thing. It's unfortunate that we're at a point now where we need to be constantly interrupting the game in order to make sure that everything is fair.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I do like there being an aspect of human error in football. But at the same time, it's like we've already gotten to the point where replay assist is making a lot of the decisions, taking a lot of the decisions out of the referee's hands. And, you know, people have been complaining forever about making the refs have less of an impact in the game. So for the NFL community, I am all for this move because I think that it is the NFL being receptive to what the fans have been complaining about and talking about for a long time right now.
Yeah.
And sports leagues are not usually receptive to what their fans want. So this is actually a kind of a promising step for the NFL, I hope, at least in terms of the value that they hold a fan's input with. But at the same time, I definitely do understand that inarguably, we are losing an aspect of the game that has been present since the beginning.
The thing about this change is that people won't really have strong feelings about it until games are won and lost by it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And it hasn't been implemented yet, so it's honestly a small part of the game, a very specific part of the game, but it's an important part of the game.
Yeah.
And they're going to implement this. They have to do it right. They have to do it in a way that doesn't prefer one team or prefer any aspect of the game, you know?
Yeah.
Because there could also be a lot of errors in this thing because
exactly.
the ball is thrown and rattled around all game.
Yeah, definitely.
So
and I was thinking to myself, like, what is the decision? What is the ruling if the chip inside the ball says that they were short of the first down, but clear as day the replay and the ref spot has the ball getting the first down? Do they trust the replay assist, and do they trust the refs, or do they trust the chip in the ball? Yeah,
that's my worry, is that how reliant are they on, they have to play test these chips so much with these balls.
Yeah.
And I just more trust the human eye than I do this chip at the end of the day.
Yeah,
because I would be pissed if my team lost because of that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I would be pretty upset if my team lost a game because a chip and a ball said that we didn't make it far enough. But I'm kind of juggling two balls here. I'm kind of, juggling my thoughts right now. Because on the one hand, I definitely see where you're coming, and I love the human aspect of it. I love the chain gang. I love that we rely on people to make our sports work. I think just culturally, that's something. I mean, it's digitization. You know,
yeah.
They're taking the people out of the art. They're taking the people out of the sports. I like having people in my art, and I like having people in my sports. But at the same time, I also understand that, according to Buffalo fans, there was a serious robbery, and that Buffalo should have had the opportunity to go and get stomped by Philadelphia in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they were robbed of that opportunity by, the evil Kansas City refs. So, like I said, if it gets the NFL community to shut up and it sets a precedent that the NFL is going to be listening to fan feedback more often, then I'm all for it. But if they're just doing it to, have to get to write off the chain gang from the payroll, then I'm not a fan of that whatsoever.
Yeah, that's about where I stand on it too.
Yeah, that pretty much boils it all down. And speaking of rule changes,
yes,
they're trying to ban the tush push
again.
It's happening once again. The Packers have filed a motion with the NFL. It'll be voted on in March, I do believe, when the NFL owners get together for their yearly meeting. I think I might have a bit of a controversial opinion on this.
Let me know.
I think that every reason that people have provided for banning the tush push is a bad one.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a good reason to ban the tush push.
Yeah.
I think that we saw it extremely in the case of Washington and Philadelphia in the playoffs. You remember when what's-his-face Luvu kept on jumping over the line.
Yeah, he kept jumping over the line to stop it.
And disrupting the game and trying to jump the snap. And eventually it got to the point where the refs announced to the stadium that they would just give Philadelphia a touchdown if he continued to do that. I think that the tush push encourages a disruption of the flow of the game. And I think that it is a very low-effort way to gain short yardage. And I understand that that's the point of the play, but at the same time, it is clearly disruptive to the flow of play, especially in goal line scenarios where there's nothing the defense can do but try to jump the snap. Like, what is a defense supposed to do? You can't get low because then they go underneath. You can't get high, or you can't go low because then they go over you. You can't get high because then they go underneath you. what are you supposed to do?
See, I don't really agree. I don't agree with what you said about it's a low effort play.
It is a
very hard play to accomplish.
God.
And if it wasn't a hard play to accomplish, every team would be great at it, and not just the Eagles.
No,
I mean,
because the Eagles
you look at a team like the Bills. The Bills sucked at it. The Bills were terrible at it.
The Bills couldn't even push Josh Allen from behind. The coaching in that situation was so bad that they ran a tush push without the tush push. So don't even talk to me about that. And the reason that Philadelphia was so successful with it is not because Nick Sirianni is a genius and he's out-coaching schemes to set up the tush push. It's because every person on that Eagles offensive line could be categorized as a mobile vehicle if you put them on wheels. They're huge.
That's true, but pretty much every single offensive line is huge.
No, not like that Philly offensive line.
Not like that Philly offensive line, but there are similarly big offensive lines, and there aren't other teams in the league that can replicate it with the same rate of success that the Eagles are. And I think it's just due to hard work. Their offensive line coaching is probably the best in the league. I mean, their offensive line has consistently been great for years.
They are the best, and they've been the best offensive line core in the league for at least the last, we'll say, 7 years, 8 years. I think maybe individual teams have taken over the moniker of best offensive line in the league. But I think if you take the last 8 years into account, Philadelphia
has been consistently top three.
The best offensive line. Yeah. If they're not top three, they're top two. And if they're not top two, then they're the best in the league.
I mean, it's just they've turned the quarterback sneak into something else, which is just a completely high percentage play that no team is consistent at stopping. And that is really the main argument that teams are making, is that it's an unfair play and that it doesn't belong in the sport. And I just don't agree. You're just taking away the quarterback sneak, which is not a good option. And there are tons of teams that don't run quarterback sneaks, like the Chiefs. They don't run quarterback sneaks anymore.
Not really, no.
There are tons of quarterbacks that don't want to put their quarterbacks at risk like this, which is understandable. But when you have a guy with the legs like Jalen Hurts does,
he's got some legs.
He's definitely got some legs, and they're using Jason Kelce put it this way: there's a lot of hard work that goes into that play, because they got the Eagles have had rugby coaches from the UK come to teach them the tush push, because it's a play that is largely taken from rugby.
Yeah.
So they've had rugby coaches come in and work with them on this play. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into this play and replicating it in a way that Philly does successfully.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort that goes into, understanding the physics behind what the offensive linemen need to do in terms of blocking and stuff like that. But that definitely does not change the fact that it's a low effort play. I'm not letting you walk away from this point. It is a low effort play. Let's not call an egg a chicken here. Let's not pretend like Nick Sirianni is reinventing the wheel. He got a group of some of the 5 biggest dudes and strongest dudes in the entire sport, and he said, hey, let's get 1 yard with them. And then they did it, and everybody is acting like they broke football. I mean, I just think, okay, now that I'm saying all this out loud, I sound a little salty, don't I?
Yeah, I think you forgot to mention Super Bowl champion Nick Sirianni.
Oh, don't you dare! No!
I think whenever I refer to Nick Sirianni, I'm gonna.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna say Super Bowl champion.
You are ripping open wounds. You are ripping open wounds in front of me right now. Oh, all right. I need a minute to go cool off. When we get back, there's going to be some discussion around Aaron Rodgers and the New York Giants and Matthew Stafford, because a bunch of developments just happened with that. But I need to go get a drink of water before we do anything. You are getting on my nerves, Matt. If you have any idea how close I was to replacing you when you went to go play foosball, you wouldn't be talking to me like that.
No.
But anyway, we'll be back soon. Thank you.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to wayneswaycabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
Herring Septic wants your crap. Herring Septic loves taking crap from everybody. Herring Septic, they really don't give a crap what other septic companies say because they know they're full of crap. Herring Septic has been taking crap from everybody for the past 50 years. So why not let them take your crap? We'll take your crap. Herring Septic does it all. From residential, commercial, pumping, installing, and they even rent porta potties for those of you who give a crap. Visit herringseptic.com. That's herringseptic.com if you give a crap.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to romadeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, we've been talking about suds left over in the wash. What else should we know?
Soap companies do a great job of taking a wild guess at it, and they do a better job at marketing their product to make money. That's what they're doing. They'll tell you that liquids are better than powders. Liquids are much cheaper for them to produce and ship because they can ship it concentrated, cut it with water at the final mile before they deliver it to the store. And it almost guarantees that you're going to over soap. Most people don't realize this. It's real simple. Clean doesn't smell. If you put detergent in your washing machine and you wash your clothes, and when you're done and you pull them out of your washer, and you take a handful of that clothing and put it up to your nose and take a sniff, if it smells boutique fresh or whatever lavender scent that they put in the detergent, it's because there's still detergent in your clothing.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have successfully relaxed myself. Welcome back to Jake's Hot Takes. I went and just ran some cold water on my face, reminded myself that yes, we are in fact living in a reality where Nick Sirianni is the Super Bowl champion. I'm just going to have to wake up every day and deal with that. So we're going to stop talking about the Eagles now, and we're going to get right into discussing Matthew Stafford because your boy is coming back to L.A. Mm-hmm. Matt, what was your knee-jerk reaction to this? What with any of the teams involved, L.A., Stafford, New York, what was your immediate thought?
Well, I never thought that Stafford was going anywhere else because this really is the right move for them. I mean, there was a good chance they would have won the Super Bowl last year if they held out against the Eagles there. They almost beat them. They were the only team that even came close to beating the Eagles.
Yeah, they had their shot and just didn't really work out.
And it didn't materialize, but there's no chance to think that this Rams team won't be back there again. And then again, I don't think they'll be able to compete talent-wise with, like, complete man talent-wise with the Eagles, but they're surprisingly...
Or Detroit, honestly.
What was that?
I don't think they could compete with Detroit talent-wise either.
No, Detroit just kind of fell apart at the end, and we'll see how that season. But back to the Rams, I think that this staying with Stafford is the right move, especially because A, he won a Super Bowl. When he's been healthy, he's been consistently great for the Rams. I mean, he hasn't really had a bad game or like a really bad playoff performance or anything. He's always shown up in the playoffs, even when they lose. He's just a great quarterback with one of the best arm talents of all time, and I think the Rams just benefit so much more from having him there. And I saw a report that they were reportedly comfortable with letting Jimmy Garoppolo take the starting job. And I think that was just a play to get Stafford to get his talks down. But reports are that they finalized the deal and he's staying in LA, and I think it's a great move. It's definitely halts talks with the Giants. They were going to give him a monster deal, weren't they?
The reports were coming out that the Giants were looking anywhere in the ballpark of 4 years, $100 million for Matthew Stafford, which I think would have set this franchise back even to the before Saquon days. I think that we'd be looking at some post Eli Manning, or right before post Eli Manning retirement, or wow, I just said a bunch of words, didn't mean anything. I think we're going back to post Eli Manning retirement, and the Giants just would have been awful. And I'm honestly very glad that they didn't pursue this deal, because 4 years, $100 million, when your team is basically a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
I think there are so many more holes that need to be filled before the Giants just slap a big old contract on whatever veteran quarterback gets to their door first, which unfortunately seems like that is the play that they're going to be doing moving forward, because the Giants have said that they are still interested in pursuing a veteran quarterback for this season. Looks like no Jackson Darts to New York. New York sports fans.
Which is, I don't know. I don't hate the move, but for one, I definitely don't want them to see Aaron Rodgers, which was included on the list of quarterbacks they're looking at.
Ugh.
I just would not like that. Just another. I'm sure Aaron wouldn't. I mean, it makes sense for Aaron because he has a house in New Jersey now, and he wouldn't have to move.
He wouldn't even have to move.
So I just don't like that. I don't think it would do anything good for the Giants. And the crazy thing is, I think they're a better run team than the Jets, which is not saying much.
No,
but
not saying much.
I think Aaron would definitely be happier on the Giants than he would be on the Jets because, A, they have a better defense, and he has Malik Neighbors there to develop that hasn't. So I don't think it would be an absolute terrible decision, but there's just so much baggage that comes with signing Aaron Rodgers.
I actually think that signing Aaron Rodgers is the worst move that the Giants could do right now. Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that you really want developing your young wide receiver talent. Realistically, Rodgers is not the kind of guy that can really... He can make great throws, and he is a great IQ for the game. He knows how to throw the ball. He knows how to read defenses. But he is never going to be a guy like Stafford that really elevates the wide receivers on your roster. I mean, look at Garrett Wilson. Should have been at least a Pro Bowl caliber talent with Rodgers throwing him the ball, and then nothing. He became second rate to Devontae Adams, who realistically should probably be looking at retirement homes at this point. But,
yeah.
I mean, Rodgers just... the Giants are such a young team right now, and they're so bad. Slapping a big contract on Aaron Rodgers and expecting him to fix everything is just not going to be the move for this team. I think that would be an awful move for them.
I don't know. I just don't know. The Giants just find themselves in an impossible position right now. It's no secret that they definitely have some talent on their team with Malik Neighbors and Brian Burns,
Tyrone Tracy,
Yeah, I love Tyrone Tracy. I think he's great.
Tyrone Tracy.
But it's just that ever since Eli Manning started to fall off in like the mid 2010s, it's just the quarterback has been in an impossible position for them.
Yeah, it's been tough.
And they bit on Daniel Jones after he had a decent year in 2022 and set the franchise back for a long time. Yeah. And then again, I mean, yes, they could draft Shadir Sanders. I think their route is draft a quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Do you think there's any possibility that we see Tennessee trade back and trade up with New York?
No.
You don't think so?
No, because I think Tennessee wants to guarantee their spot of best player in the draft, and whether that's Abdul Carter.
That's who I was thinking.
Which he probably is the overall best player in the draft. But, Abdul Carter, there was a report that he has a bit of a foot fracture right now. Oh, so you know what that means? That means he's a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, congratulations. Abdul Carter, you are a Philadelphia Eagle. Now, those Eagles, they just seem to snag up everyone that has even the slightest problem that causes them to slip in the draft.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's impossible that we see New York trade up with Tennessee and try and secure that first overall pick spot to hopefully draft a quarterback, because the Browns have said that they're interested in going for a quarterback. If the Giants establish that they're interested, Tennessee can trade back to 3 and still get the guy that they were looking at in the first place, which more and more I'm leaning towards Tennessee actually going for Abdul Carter. I think that the quarterback talent in this draft class just there's nobody in this draft class that I look at and I just think to myself, like, wow, he's going to be a really great quarterback. There are a couple guys that I definitely see the potential and I see the vision, but there's nobody in this draft class that I look at and I think, yeah, he is going to be a great NFL quarterback. It's mostly just he might be, He might be.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what the Giants are going to do, and we'll get some more ideas of what they're going to do when it comes closer to draft day, because there is definitely a possibility that they trade up, and we'll see what they do. But now it is confirmed that adding Stafford to their roster is not going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of assuming that they don't go for the draft, and I know that we discussed this a little while ago, so if it's not the draft and it's not Stafford, who do you think is going to be suiting up for the New York Giants next season?
If it's not either of those guys, I don't know. I think they might just run it back with Drew Lock.
They might. I
think that's the best thing that can happen because they already spent money on him.
Yeah.
So
might as well just play him. And I don't even hate the Giants drafting best player available in this draft, going for, if
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, if the Titans end up drafting a quarterback, if Cam and Shador go first overall, draft Abdul Carter, draft Travis Hunter, You don't need to reach on a quarterback at 3 just because you think it'll make your fans happy. You need to rebuild an actual football team.
Yeah, and that's what happened with Daniel Jones. They massively reached on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, totally.
And it didn't work out.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's just the Giants, they really haven't had a shot to draft a quarterback since Daniel Jones all those years ago. So I'm interested. I know that this Giants regime is notorious for their awful decisions like paying Jones and letting Saquon walk and all sorts of things of that nature. But I am curious because this is the first time that the Giants have had a really high draft pick, like top 3 draft picks since Saquon.
Yeah.
And they hit the nail on the head with Saquon. Right guy, wrong time, unfortunately. They just couldn't get a team around him. But I'm interested to see what this Giants team is going to do with a high pick. I hope they can come out with something good. I
hope
love
so
my
too.
Love my New York sports. But Anyway, that is going to do it for today. We hope you enjoyed this Sunday edition of Jake's Hot Takes. I have been your host, Jake McVey, joined by my co-host, Matthew Galgano. Again, make sure you check out the Instagram, Jake's Hot Takes WGNY on Instagram, and comment and like. And we will be here next Thursday at noon, so make sure you stick around and stay tuned. Thank you.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to WaynesWayCabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and